All right, we're back with Matt Rudy. We're doing a quick follow-up Q&A just because so many people were interested in this process of writing a book. And obviously there are a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns for most people. So wanted to dive in. The first question we have here from Derek Hooper is, when writing an ebook, what can help to determine whether you should be trying to sell it or give it away for free to grow your database? Another word for database would be audience. I think this is a great question. Matt, any thoughts on this?
It is a great question, and I think it ties into a little bit of what we were talking about in the original conversation, in that when you go into this, you should have a very specific strategy to start. You can satisfy. I think you can do one thing really well. You can, if you're going to try to generate revenue, you can do that really well. If you're trying to generate attention, you can do that really well. It's when you start to add in multiple desires for one project, it becomes a little bit harder to do it well and to do it comprehensively. I think it can be, what's the figure of speech they say? Something can be fast, it can be good, or it can be cheap. We got to pick one of those things, or at the most two of those things. So generally speaking, I think you should go into doing one of these with a specific idea of, I want to make something that's going to be it's going to accompany my teaching that I'm going to give away, or with a specific idea that's something you want to sell as a product, because it's going to inform what you do and how you put it together, how you market it, how the material actually turns out. I think one way you could do sort of a hybrid approach is to approach the book as something you're going to sell, and then have a quote unquote extra or a bonus component that kind of rides on, piggybacks on top of it, that you could give away either to people who buy it as a bonus or as something to tease people into buying the full product. I think you could do something like that. But I think the smartest way to do it is to approach it with one thought: either this is going to be something that I hand out as an accessory, or it's something that I'm going to use to introduce people to who I am. And I think the basic way to determine which angle you want to take is, if you're using it as something that you're going to give away, then I think it's got to be a lot more introductory. It's got to be a lot more of something that explains to people who might not know you who you are. It's something that's going to be out there, and the intention is to circulate it as widely as possible. If it's going to be something that you're going to sell, I think it's a much more step-by-step process to figure out what the market is, whether the message that you're trying to get across is one in a broad enough spectrum. I mean, there's obviously a difference between trying to sell a book to parents who want to send their junior player to college, as there is to doing a book just in general about the short game. There's more people for market B than there are market A. It doesn't mean that either of those ideas are bad. It's just very those things should inform the size of the thing you're going to produce, how much you're going to charge for it. You could be the expert and sell something for $100 a copy, and there's 200 people in the country that need it. That might be something that works financially. But those are all decisions that you should make at the beginning, not kind of get to the end and go, well, maybe I'll give this thing away, or maybe I'll try to sell it. Then the piece that you end up with runs a risk of not matching what you're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure. So understand your goals from the beginning, and then go accordingly. In the interview, you talked a little bit about this concept of doing a really short kind of like mini book.
Yep.
Like, what are the price ranges, or like what are the minimums on that, and how does that play out? Like, can you sell like a $2 book in Amazon, or like?
Physically, you could make a book any size. I mean, you could make a 30-page book if you wanted to. What you bump into then is the unit price that Amazon charges to print the book, and there's a specific margin that has to happen above that minimum print price. Just for example, a book I just did with Tony Ruggiero is a 110-page book. It's a color cover, black and white inside. Sort of what I would call a quote unquote standard size mini book. It's 8 chapters. The unit price for that book is $2.15 to print. And so I think the minimum price Amazon will let you charge for that book is right around $6. And then the difference between that cost to print it, $2 and $6, that $4 spread gets split 70% for the author and 30% for Amazon. So in theory, you could print as small of one as you wanted, You just want to make sure that the margin that's left over satisfies Amazon and satisfies what you're trying to accomplish. I think the sweet spot, 100 pages is a pretty good size. It's not a big, huge, thick book, but it's not super thin where you would kind of alienate somebody who bought it. And I think you could effectively charge anywhere from $12.99 to $19.99 or $21.99 for that information, depending on what's in there, and have it be cheap enough that people are interested in buying it, but have it sell for enough of a price that you can make some money when you sell them.